Hello, Zelda Universe. Welcome back to a brand new interview. My name is Trainer Trevino, and I'm joined by a special guest today. Hello, Mr. Mysterious Person. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Lipow, voice actor out here in Los Angeles.
And who do you play in Age of Calamity, good sir?
I play the villain Astor.
Ooh, villainous and scary.
Yeah.
Cool. So, just like, first off, John, thank you again for taking the time to speak with us today about your role in
My
the
pleasure.
in the new Zelda game. I guess, like, just to jump into this, like, my first question for you was actually a question that a couple of people already asked, and they're asking, like, how does it feel to be the first person to voice a villain in the Zelda game?
Yeah, that was actually new information to me. I think we discussed it. I didn't
Mhm.
realize that this really is the first voiced villain, which is pretty cool. I love the character already, but that's a nice kind of, you know,
Mhm.
what do they call that? A keystone in their
Yeah,
voicing of their franchise there. So that's a nice thing to have that. It was a pleasure to do it, and it feels nice that this is the new way that they're going. I guess after Breath of the Wild, they realized that adding voices to these characters adds a little bit more depth to the gameplay experience.
for
So that was
sure.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just and speaking of which, we have Carson who is asking, how much fun did you have doing Astor's voice?
Astor's voice was a lot of fun to do. You probably think that's a canned response. Hey, I love doing the character. It was awesome. No, it really was, because this character actually harkens back to a voice I've done years ago. Actually, one of my characters that I made up. His name is Evil Lord Blackthorn, and
Ooh.
he's very similar in his evilness to Astor. He may be a little deeper in register. He was inspired a little bit by Jafar from Aladdin, one of my favorite villains. Not the same voice, but just that carried the evilness of him. And he's just a very evil lord, and he just kills peasants by the hundreds without a second thought. But anyway, that character for me, when I heard about Astor, Nintendo was very secretive about the character and not letting me know too much, but they gave me the insight to his motivations and his emotional state at the time and what he's going through. And that when I heard about all that stuff, like, wait a minute, this is I think this voice, a similar voice anyway, to that Blackthorn would be fitting for Astor. He was a little slighter of build than the character that I created. So I kind of maybe lighten him up slightly up the pitch, maybe a little more. Yes, maybe more so like this. Yes, maybe a little bit higher, but definitely evil and
Mhm.
conniving and sinister and arrogant. That's my favorite part, the arrogance, because he thinks he's the best at being evil. He thinks he's the most powerful and nothing can stop him. Of course, we all know that that's not going to be the case in a Zelda game. Good triumphs over evil. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially the parts when he's realizing that, oh, wait a minute, there's something coming up here that's going to be a wrench in the works, or it's good. So I enjoyed it.
That's really cool. I guess, like, aside from Astor himself, Tino is asking, do you have a favorite character in Age of Calamity, and why? Was there any characters that you would have liked to voice other than Astor?
No, since they're really not voiced, I really didn't have a large history of knowing what other characters sounded like. But whenever I get one of my favorite things to do, whether I'm doing animation or I'm doing games or anything, films, it doesn't matter. Evil characters are usually the most fun. The diabolicalness of them really lets me stretch and have fun and explore, because evil is kind of like and plus it's a game, so you have your creativity is not so limited. You can really just kind of go out there. If they can draw it or animate it or sculpt it, you can really, the sky's the limit. But yeah, I think being able to do this character, I don't think I would have changed anything, because it's one of the voices I enjoy doing is always evil voices, whether they're more guttural, no, get over here, how dare you, oh, okay, that kind of monstrous one, like an orc type thing, or those are plenty of other evil characters like that too. But this is the more sinister, arrogant, the most affluence of evil. I kind of like that, so I don't think I
Yeah.
would have changed a thing.
Very
I'm glad that
Yeah.
Link is cool, but there's
There's that.
Slider. There's those of Slider voice that can voice Link because he's younger. Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
and Link doesn't really talk a whole lot, so all you do is just grunt and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. So Rosie Garcia is asking us, or rather you, why do you think Astor has had the intentions he did? How did it feel to be doing a voiceover for such a mysterious villain? Just curious. Thank you.
Well, Rosie was her name?
Yeah, Rosie.
All right. Let's see. I think, he wasn't in the last game in Breath of the Wild, or so we think. But there seems to be some hints that maybe, lurking off the sidelines, waiting, lying in wait to see what was going on, and then coming forth. Just because we don't see the character doesn't mean they don't technically exist. So that allows the writers to be, I guess, creative and add things as they see fit. And maybe this character filled a void that they had to add an evil element, more of a character to their evil side of the game. But yeah, I mean, I think that maybe he was just biding his time to come into the fray at the right moment. That's a lot of times when people plot, they kind of wait, and then boom, they jump onto it. Maybe that's it's all speculative. We don't know, but I think that's that. I like to think that he was waiting, biding his time. Thinking that now maybe he was assuming power. Maybe he was getting enough strength out of from Calamity Ganon to come forth and do what he was going to do, and thought that was all he needed, and then he was ready. That's my take on it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. For sure.
Your guess is as good as mine, but
it's why Zelda theories exist in the world. We have to find the answers ourselves. All right, so I got this one asked a handful of times, which I'm looking forward to hearing. Jan the Man and Matt are both asking, were there any previous characters that you voiced or didn't voice that you or the vocal director drew inspiration from when deciding how to voice Astor?
Well, we kind of talked about it. I remember, we were coming up with different voice prints and ideas, and typically, I mean, thankfully, I guess, when I do try to come up with a voice for a character, a lot of times, I mean, if they're not liking it, they'll say, no, steer away from that. No, that's not what he's like. They'll tell me that right away. But for this character, his description and everything, and the way he was evil, and the way he just assumed he was the most almighty thing in existence and couldn't be stopped, that really, that arrogance triggered the voice print that I used. We may have geared it up or down a little bit and kind of tweaked it for him and how he would, expel his powers and all that stuff. But no, I think that that basically, when I came up with that voice, they seemed to be pretty on board with it. In fact, that was what I did in my audition.
Oh.
So it didn't change much from that. Once they hear that, I probably gave them a few. I forgot exactly what choices I gave them. Usually I give 2 choices, sometimes 3, depending if it's a short script. I can do 3, but usually 2. You don't give them too many choices, because then they think you just don't know what you're doing, and you're just offering anything. Here, take anything, hire me. You don't want that. So you try to be confident in your choices. And I was committed when I did the audition. I was definitely committed to the character. That's the key, is commitment. Even if you're wrong with the voice, and that's not what they're looking for, if you're committed to the character, even if it's nuts and you're crazy and you just, but if you're so committed to it, they're going to remember that. And sometimes I might not book a job, but I'll book another one with the same company for another character that I didn't try for. Oh, but that would be good for this character. So commitment. So I think when I was committing to the voice, I definitely went with that evil, arrogant evilness about him, and I just went with it. And I think that was apparently what they liked, and we went from there and shaped it according to their direction.
Very well. Very, very cool.
I try to be very pliable. Direction. It's very important to give them what they want, regardless. It's not about my opinion of it. It's about what they want, and I am the tool for their work.
Right on. The fans want to know, do you have a favorite Zelda game? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
Well, I don't. I'm not a big RPG player. I remember the first Zelda game for the NES. Yes, I'm that old. And, that was fun. A lot of my friends are huge fans of it, Zelda. But I have to say, I think based on the gameplay experience, and at least watching, oftentimes I would watch friends play because it's like watching a movie sometimes. Ocarina of Time, maybe, for the Nintendo 64, stands out to me as one of the more pleasurable experiences I've had, at least experiencing slight play and also watching friends play. And I'm like, this is really neat. In fact, I went to a little party like a year ago, and a guy was there with an ocarina around his neck, and he was just playing it all casually, and it was just like I was kind of transfixed. I was like, "That's a nice little thing to bring to a party, and it sounds so nice." It was just cool. And I was totally brought back to my Zelda years of many years ago. It was cool.
Apocalypse is asking us, Astor is my favorite character in Age of Calamity, and probably one of my favorite villains, and will be for a very long time. My question or questions, what's your favorite moment and scene, and what was your first and last impression of Astor?
Apocalypse, you will be rewarded with an answer. Well, the favorite moment I think was in the game, recording the game, I think would have to be the point where he realizes that he is coming apart at the seams, basically, when he's just like, he's using his last bastion of power, and it doesn't go as planned. And he's coming to the realization that he's foiled and he's going to be destroyed or beaten, or however you want to call it. Because, when they get destroyed, are they destroyed? Maybe they can come back, be resurrected again. It's all this magical stuff. We don't know. But yeah, that when he's just like, no, what? And he's just like having this complete like disarray of disbelief that this is not happening. That's my favorite. And then, and I like also when he's charging up his powers and launching his powers and just, this dispelling his evil on the masses is really cool. But yeah, I think when he realizes that, that was cool. It was like, it's a complete change. He's gone from arrogant, pusher of power to, oh my God, recipient of a potentially lethal blow, or at least a stop to his ability to be effective. So it was definitely a turning point. I like those. I like those turning points, of those moments of realization of, oh my gosh, this isn't what I planned on. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. What was your first and last impression of Astor?
First and last impression? Well, yeah. I mean, he was. He definitely seemed like a very kind of a spoiled, arrogant, powerful guy. He was definitely. But it's fun. It's fun to play that. I mean, I don't necessarily people in real life like that. They're not really cool. But in the fantasy world, it's fun. And it's fun to play them. It's fun to play them, I think, in the game to play something like that, and also to portray that as well. Definitely. But that's my first impression was he came in as a strong, powerful, wielding evil character. And then my last impression is, well, guess what? You're not always going to get what you want. And it's not always going to work out. And evil doesn't always win in the end. Usually not, hopefully. But yeah, so it was like that, I guess.
Sakura is asking, for Jon, how does it feel to portray a brand new villain in the Zelda universe? Did you play any Zelda games before your role? Oh, and were there any lines you improvised? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yes, maybe. I don't know, possibly. Next question. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Well, the original Zelda game, the gold cartridge on NES, I played that, tinkered with that a bit, and then I realized I liked the Mario games a lot more. That was just my take on games. I'm just a platformer. I'm a platformer versus an RPG or Mario Kart, stuff like that. I love that stuff. But anyway, so Zelda, the first one, and of course, Ocarina of Time on Nintendo 64, I enjoyed. I did see a lot of Breath of the Wild footage and stuff like that, which was pretty cool. As far as, what was the other part of the question? Those are games I played.
Yeah, games you played. How does it feel to be a brand new villain? And it was
great to be a brand new villain. I'm so glad they added voices to their villains. I hope, because I love the character too, I hope that they bring him back. I hope he's resurrected. I hope that maybe there could be so many paths for games. They can make another game with Astor, or it can be a battle royale game type thing. Who knows what they can do? They have all the power they want to just have to write it and create it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be fun to play him again, and I would love to do more Astor work.
Yeah, and then last question was, were there any lines you improvised?
Improvised lines? No, we're not allowed to do that for this game. Sometimes the developers let you do that. They let you kind of take a little bit of leeway with the character, but they're very specific. Plus, don't forget, this is coming from a Japanese original gameplay. You have to be it's very important. They want you to stay true to the original script, which is important. Where I am allowed to improvise is in my emotes. Emotes can be your that's charging up a spell or those kind of things. So I definitely, when he's, getting beaten, like, oh, no, I forget exactly what I did when I got destroyed or sent back to the realm or reabsorbed by Calamity Ganon or wherever it was. But yeah, coming up with those kind of emotes and effects, those vocal effects, I call them, those I am creating. So I guess if they use them, I'm basically responding to what they're asking me for, and I have to come up with something. So yeah, those kind of things where suffering or expelling a power or something like that, those, I guess, if I want to call it improvising, I'd call it just more creating based on what they're asking me for.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times they'll come up, and sometimes I'm not really recalling if I did for this particular game, but sometimes I will come up with a sound or a line or some kind of emote that they weren't asking for, that they're like, oh yeah, we're using that. Can you do that again? So I like to just offer up things. I always like to leave with more than they're expecting. That's something that helps you keep working when you give them more than they expect. Yeah. But yeah, that's probably what I can say I improvised. I didn't improvise lines because this particular franchise or particular game for Nintendo, they wanted me to stay true to, so this would be universally accepted. They want the American version going off on tangents when these other versions are sticking true to the script. So it's very important to keep that quality control, I guess.
Very.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
This is coming from Peaches and Lilies. They're asking, what's your favorite thing about Astor's character design?
I like that he has this, like, that orb scepter power that he wields. I like that thing. That's kind of neat. That's always, a really cool villain should have something like a scepter. Like a wizard has something like that. But I like that orb that he deals with. That's pretty neat. I like his dark locks. Kind of like my own, not quite as gray, but like my own. But yeah, I like, I just think he's got his robes, I just think he's got a cool presentation about himself, and it's fitting for his attitude and his character description. So I do like that. I like him. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. He has a really cool design.
Yeah. And he's not overly, even though he's so powerful, he doesn't have to be bulky and, huge to be powerful. He can be just very slight, and he has all the power he needs.
Very intelligent and
the magic is the power.
Okay. Here's a fun question. This is coming from a few people, so I'm gonna ask from Sarah. She's asking, what are some things you do to get into character? Obviously, this person is a bit of a maniac, so how do you get into his shoes?
I'm already there. I wake up a maniac. No, quite easily. No, I try to just, if you're before a session, maybe do some jumping jacks to just loosen up, do some shaking, some ballistic stretching, and just you can do some vocal warm-ups. But yeah, it's very, I was mentioning to this, I've mentioned to you the other day, or just other people that have asked me about voice acting stuff, but you try to just let yourself kind of get out of your own head. And for me particularly, when I'm playing a character, like an animated character or a game character, I read the context of the character. I look at what is their motivations, where are they coming from in their space, and that's what I try to pull from. My own personal experiences, I pull from those. I try, but with cartoons and games, it's fun to just go a little bit out there with it. Try to be. You can always bring it back. They can always say, whoa, too much, reel it in. That's fine. But if you hold back, then you may not be giving the emotional arc that they really deserve. So I try to just kind of, what would it be like to be a magical being that is hell-bent on power and control? And try to, you have people in politics today that do that. I won't say any names, but they don't have magic, thankfully. But, it's just, you try to pull from that, and you try to develop that and just roll with it. And like I said, they can always dial you back. But if you offer a lot and you give a lot, and it helps, it's actually cathartic, because you spend all day being yourself. And one of the things I love about voice acting particularly is that you can go out of your own self in such a way that's so expansive. On-camera acting is great and stage acting is wonderful, but when you do voice acting, you're not limited by anything except what they can draw, sculpt, or create graphically. And if you've ever played PlayStation, the God of War series, on PlayStation, and you see some of these. I remember in God of War 3, I believe it was, he's like climbing up a mountain. Kratos is climbing a mountain. All of a sudden, the mountain is moving, and it's some freaking giant stone monster. And there's like a horse with 8 legs or something like that. I mean, it's like an octopus horse. Like, where did these are coming from? Nightmares and dreams? Where are these people coming up with these designs? So there's no limit on what can be done. So I like that. So why limit myself to what I can offer in a vocal performance? And I like the freedom to stretch. And that's, I guess, what inspires me is that, where am I going to take this character? Where am I going to bring him or her or whatever it may be, or it?
Yeah.
And I like that. The playing field that I get to work with. So I guess that's inspiring to me.
Yeah.
The less boundaries that I'm able to use, which is nice.
And plus, just bottom line, it's just fun to voice villains because they have so much to know.
It really is. It's so much fun. It's so unlike who I am as a person.
I want to think so. All right.
My girlfriend says so.
So we have 2 back-to-back questions that are in relation to previous villains. I'm not sure how well you might be able to answer them, but we can try. One of them is from Blinky, and they're asking, who do you think which Zelda villain is more dedicated to reviving their master, Astor or Ghirahim?
Well, I read a little bit up on the other character, and they're kind of similar in the way they are portrayed, at least how they're described. But I mean, if I had to guess, Ghirahim, they were present in the other game.
In Hyrule Warriors, yes, the first Hyrule Warriors.
Right. So they've been established. They know where they're coming from. But Astor has been waiting in the wings, biding his time, waiting to pounce at the right moment, and be released when he was ready to conquer. So I'm going to say Astor. Prepare.
I like that. All right. And then another question from Witwaker, and they're asking, if you had a vision of Calamity Ganon coming to attack the real world, what would you do?
Move to Canada. Wow, I don't know. I mean, you just hug my girlfriend, my dog, FaceTime with my parents in New York, and the siblings all over the country, and hunker down. I don't know. What would you do? You mean get a shotgun?
I think they're implying that you would do the same thing that Astor would do, or something like that.
Yes, I would gather my scepter. Actually, you know what I would do here? I have basically used my my gifts given to me as a mutant, and just come at it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. Fish to Right is asking, who is your favorite Zelda villain? And secondly, what is your favorite food?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot. I mean, Calamity Ganon, of course, is like he's the Bowser of the Zelda world, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the power. I do like that character. But, yeah, I mean, am I predictable in saying Astor is my favorite villain? I mean, I get the fact that I get to to portray and give voice to a character. I think that's a pretty cool ability and a privilege. So, yes, I'm going to say Astor is my favorite. I hope I get to play him again and bring more life to him and follow him through his future adventures, if there should be any. I look forward to it, hopefully having the opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
favorite food. This is going to sound weird. English peas. Green peas. Raw, in the shell. Sweet. Those are my favorite food since I was a kid. I didn't like potato chips, and they're not always in season, but I love English peas. That's my favorite. Because if I had to be on a desert island, you wouldn't want something sweet because then you get sick of it. I would definitely be more savory than a sweet. If you're a very sweet or savory person, I'm a savory person. So I definitely want a savory food because it's more of a meal.
Yeah.
But peas can kind of be both. They're kind of savory and they're sweet. So they kind of satisfy both in a way. But yeah, I mean, sure. Spaghetti.
Yeah.
With meat sauce. Delish.
Yeah.
New York style pizza. Forget about it. And of course, probably one of my weaknesses. I'm not a big steak person, but boy, a good burger goes a long way. So love a good burger. But probably those things.
Cool. I like that too.
And I'm definitely a chocolate fan of chocolate for my sweets.
Oh.
Chocolate is king.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
dark and milk.
Techno Tom is asking, what's your favorite moment involving Astor, Kohga, and Sooga?
That's the absorption of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a charging of power and absorbing. Yeah, I like those. Those are my favorite scenes in a lot of things. When you're just absorbing at the expense of others' lives and life force. Yeah, come on, that's the best evil you can get. Why just kill somebody when you can absorb their life force? Come on.
It's also the same scene where it ends off on Astor just like going maniacally crazy with the laughter.
I remember when he has a turn, he does that. He's off the deep end. I like that too. That's probably
so. It was so good. It was like,
no, I love that point when he was like, he's not coming back.
No, like he's just completely unhinged now. Crazy mode. Okay, another previous Zelda villain question. Kyle is asking who would win in the 1v1 cage match between Astor or Zant, which Zant is a previous Zelda villain from Twilight Princess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as wonderful as Zant would be in a fight, Astor's going to just completely destroy him. He's going to pull a Conor McGregor on him. You know, it's just done. It's done. 13-second knockout. No, I just think he would be more powerful in the end. Yeah,
that's fair. Because you're weighing between a calculated and very sinister villain, Astor, and a cuckoo crazy villain character who has, no sense of direction.
Right.
In a sense.
Calculation is key.
Calculation is key. Link, the hero of winds, is asking, was there anything about this role that stood out to you compared to other roles that you've done?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely to be a part of this. Once I found out what universe I was getting to play, and it was wonderful to be able to be in a Nintendo franchise. But yeah, I mean, I think that for me, like when someone who, like I mentioned this before, someone who gets to amass so much power, but then gets to the realization that no, it's not going to stay that way. You're not going to remain powerful. You're going to be defeated. And it's when there's that turn, it's like we were just discussing, when he starts going off the deep end, and he's realizing, and I think even beyond that, is when he realized it's not working. It's like Spider-Man shoots a web out of his hand, and it's not there. He's out of web. Wait, what? That moment of no, this is, and you have to make that immediate change and that immediate turn of panic or pleading or begging or whatever it may be, or just like the realization that it's over or about to be. That was that's definitely something that I enjoy. I enjoy those turns, those arcs, when it's not just one-sided and grunt just punching away at a wall. There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of turns and twists, and that's probably what I really was most favorable for me.
Yeah, totally. Very cool. All right, let's see. We're actually getting down to our last couple of questions. So this next one is from Noriko Colors. They're asking, what's your favorite line from Astor?
Sure, you can.
I don't remember him being in Street Fighter.
That's another game. Right when he's talking, he's like, what? And he's at the end, I forget exactly what the line was, but at the end, he's realizing, and he's threatening everybody, and then he's realizing it's not working anymore. And then what's the last? You remember his last line?
It's time for you to devour these, and then he's cut off, and then he turns around and he says these, and then calamity happens, absorption. Yeah, that was his last line, just like saying these as his trying to say what he's trying to say, but then he just gets cut off because the harbinger.
Yeah, that around that time when he's realizing it's not going to happen, and he's turning. Also, when he started going off the deep end, that was fun because then you just get to go more nuts. Yeah, he's not so calculated anymore. He gets to be just more maniacal. I enjoyed those lines too because it's not you see how he's becoming completely emotionally driven. And it's just there's no calculation anymore. It's just off the deep end.
All right.
That's right.
Next question from Chelsea. John, did they tell you anything about the backstory of Astor, like what village he's from, who he is, how he got his powers, why he's doing this, etc.? If so, I imagine it's probably NDA, but just very curious.
I'm sorry, I'm not programmed to respond in this area. No, yeah, there's certainly some NDA stuff, but no, they were also very secretive about this. They really have to keep it under wraps. I was very careful to follow their instructions. I deleted files after they were recorded and confirmed that I had done so. The scripts were deleted and confirmed I deleted them. I mean, I've never had. I mean, I've had security. I've signed non-disclosures and stuff like that, but I have never had specific, requests to make sure I'm deleting stuff. And I guess maybe it's because we're all working from home now, so there's more computer laptops floating around, and people getting their computer to the shop, and all of a sudden the computer tech sees a script in there, and they start publishing it online because they're excited about it. That can happen. So they're being very careful, and I don't blame them. But yeah, they were very they basically told me what his motivations were and his emotional origins, so I can kind of pull from that. But as far as his village, no, I think they may be saving that reveal for to tell people themselves versus telling me. That might come in another story or another game offshoot, or who knows. So yeah, I'm curious to learn that as well. But yeah, it's very mysterious
for sure.
So I'm in the dark as well.
In the darkness. All right. So we got one last.
What I wasn't allowed to tell you. Really? So it's very cool. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt.
You're gonna have a bunch of people watch this video and like reading your mouth movements.
By the way, here's a little trick for any of those fans that are planning on doing any stage acting or background in movies. Peas and carrots. If you say peas and carrots with your mouth, I'm not kidding, that particular lip motion and movement is realistic versus going like, we're going blah, 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 blah. You don't do that. You go, say peas and carrots every now and then. And that actually looks more real. Like you're actually having a fake conversation in the background. And I was taught that when I was doing my stage work years ago. Wow. To do that. So peas and carrots.
I feel like I've been told that in theater a long time ago, but I just forgot.
Peas and carrots.
That's cool.
It's a good tool, Trey.
Good acting tool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we got one last fan question for the night, and that's going to be from Luis. They're asking, overall, how did it feel that you're now part of an ever-growing list of voice actors for the Legend of Zelda series?
It feels wonderful. And I mean, I love being part of Star Wars and being part of the Transformers now. And Wrecking Ball from Overwatch and all these worlds I'm getting to be a part of. It's wonderful. And there's still many more worlds, universes I hope to get involved with as this career keeps going in the future. But to be involved in a Nintendo franchise like Zelda is wonderful, and it's great. And the fact that I think I learned from the fans and you that this is the first villain that has actually been given a voice, which is really awesome. So honored for that privilege, and I look forward to hopefully more stuff. But yeah, it feels great because this is such a popular franchise. And, it's wonderful. I remember, like we were talking, I went to E3 a couple of years ago, and it was all about Breath of the Wild, the entire stadium-sized display of this game. I mean, it's huge, and it's a really nice universe to be a part of. And I'm happy and honored to be a part of it, for sure.
Well said. We're just glad to have more of you voice actors as part of the Zelda world now, because we want you to be a part of it, and that's great because this is exciting stuff. It is. Hopefully, it just keeps happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks to the fans too for asking these questions and showing an interest in this. I'm honored to answer your questions and for you to want to know more about what I do and this character and everything like that. It's wonderful. And I mean, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not huge on social media, but Jonathan Lipow @JonathanLipow is my Twitter handle. And I don't post all the time, so I'm not going to annoy you with a bunch of gibberish about what I had for lunch. So don't worry. But yeah, follow me. If there's anything that I'm allowed to announce, I'll put it on there. So follow me if you want to hear more about what's coming up, and I'd love to share it with you. And
cool.
Yeah.
And do you have any other social websites or your own website itself that you want to share?
Yeah, jonathanlipow.com is my voiceover site that shows some clips of things I've done and demos and whatnot. And yeah, Facebook, I guess it's Jon Lipow Voice, Jon, not J-O-H-N. So Jon Lipow Voice is that. So you can just go to Jonathan Lipow and click on the voice actor part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I have an Instagram too, Jon Lipow, Jonlipow Instagram, which I put pictures on sometimes. Yeah.
Cool. And of course, we will have all of that in the video description as well, so that everyone will be able to link to you, know where you are, and yeah. And again, Jon, thank you again for just meeting with us. It was great talking with you.
Alex, a pleasure. Thanks so much for setting this up, and it's my pleasure to do it.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully, this won't be the last time we see you. And again, yeah. And
have a happy and safe holiday.
Yeah, and you too. And everyone, thank you again for watching, and really appreciate you hanging out with us and hearing Jon again. You can hear him Age of Calamity and other places in the game and cartoon world. Cool. Well, you guys have a good night, and thank you again for watching. See you guys later.
Take care.